When I say that a Republican does not a conservative make, no truer words can be told, especially after what our state Supreme Court and Attorney General have done to us. It's time for some straight talk, Republicans. I'm Robert Steinhagen, Bunker Bob, and this is the Bunker Bob Show. Yes, and it's good to be with you. It's good to be with you again today, and unfortunately, I wish it were under better circumstances because, unfortunately for the Republican Party of Texas, the all-Republican Supreme Court has actually ruled against the state party. And ironically, and surprisingly, most surprising of all, was Ken Paxton, Republican Attorney General, who told the court in some kind of a brief to uphold the city of Houston's refusal of their contract with the state Republican Party. Of course, I'm not going to rehash everything in a nutshell. If you're not familiar with what has gone on, in a nutshell, the city of Houston basically at the very last minute pulled back its contract with the state Republican Party and basically said, we don't care if we had a contract. Contracts are not something that we value, and because of the issue of safety for the people for Republicans. Of course, this is an all liberal Democrat council and Mayor Sylvester Turner. We're doing it for your safety, so you will not be able to come to Houston for your convention. And these last week or two have been one of the most fascinating things to see and especially as you listen to what has been going on within the party itself. I will say that the state Republican Executive Committee held firm for the most part. And there are a few members of the state Republican Executive Committee, also known as the SREC, that came up with some crazy ideas and they wanted to acquiesce. And it really is confounding because I think that I have to ask, what is going on? What I have to say, I agree with what Rush Limbaugh, how he opened his show today in what he said. Because if you're a Republican, if you're a conservative as I am, you have to come to the same conclusion. The one thing that is happening in our city, in our nation today is we are not acting like Americans. We're we're afraid. We've created this idea of fear that the world is going to end if you don't wear a mask or social distance. And it is shocking to me how many people are just going along like lemmings. They're just going along with what Democrats say. And honestly, the party is at a precipice. It's sitting on the edge and saying, are we going to stand up for what is right? I mean, the confounding thing to me is that the fake news, that the liberal media, and if you're a Republican, I mean, the only reason you're watching this show should be that you're a Republican. If you're not a Republican, why the heck are you watching? I don't get it. If you're not a conservative, why the heck are you watching? The fundamental question is, could we have run a safe convention in Houston? Absolutely. Robin Armstrong is the national committeeman for the state of Texas. He happens to be a doctor. He happens to be treating in a hospital. He happens to be highlighting the fact that they're seeing an influx of COVID cases. Robin Armstrong, who helped the party write a brief to the state Supreme Court for the party's appeal to a lower court's decision to uphold the city's of Houston's right to keep us out and not hold a convention. Robin Armstrong said we can have a safe convention. This is a doctor who is dealing with the COVID pandemic. And listen, I'm not a doctor, and so I don't claim to be, but I do listen to what people like Mr. Armstrong say. And his point is that this keeping us out of a convention is not going to have any profound difference. It's not going to. Most people will not come in contact with the COVID, especially with the things that the city of Houston was demanding of the state party, and the state party said, okay. The state party actually went above and beyond the standards that the city of Houston was demanding. We went far beyond that, and what happened? We're still locked out. So. We went to the state Supreme Court. Ken Paxton told the state Supreme Court, don't uphold the party's right under the contract. And then the state Supreme Court, 9-member, all Republican. I will just say this, that I've been talking to a lot of people, some members of SREC, county chairman and chairwomen, our congressional district caucus leaders, a myriad of people. And we all held out the idea that, well, hey, it's a Republican Supreme Court. At least they're going to bring reason into this. And doggone it, if they didn't by a 7-2 decision, one abstention, one supporting the party, the other 7 basically upheld the city of Houston's position. And last night on the SREC meeting, Zoom meeting, which you can watch on the Republican Party of Texas page, but while they were doing it live, I found it interesting what the attorney for the state party said. He said, "We put forth the argument, and what was really unsettling to me was," he said, and we made the right argument. He said we made the right argument because the issue was we needed to be able to get into a court in a timely manner very quickly. We needed to be able to get to the Supreme Court quickly so they can make a quick decision, because time is of the essence. Right now, as we speak, the Rules Committee, Platform Committee, Legislative Priorities Committee, they are meeting in Houston at the Marriott right as I'm broadcasting right now, and they are doing the business of the convention. And the attorney for the state party said we made the right argument, or we made and I don't get it, because one of the members of the SREC took issue with the attorneys, which did not go over well at all with the state chair. But I think maybe it was the way he did it, but I do question, okay, well, if it was the right argument, then why are we locked out of Houston? If it was the right argument, I guess I have to question, okay, it was the right argument, and follow me here. If you're a Republican attorney representing the Republican Party of Texas, going before an all-Republican state Supreme Court, and you lose, how is that the right argument? Are you following? It doesn't make sense to me. So anyway, that's where we've been. It is what it is. And that is something that I have said all my life, and it's something I grew up with. It is what it is. You need to deal with reality. And as days were ticking by, I talked with Jason Ross and Jerry Fisher, our SREC members of SD2, and just said, hey, I mean, what do you think? I mean, what do you think the likelihood the Supreme Court's going to uphold it? And they both wisely said, it doesn't look good. And I said, even though we've got a Republican Supreme Court, and they said, it just doesn't look good. I got to tell you, I want to commend Jerry Fisher and Jason Ross for their work on the SREC during this whole process, because these are two members of the SREC who held their ground while others were wavering, were trying to say, hey, well, let's just do online. Let's just do it all online. And Jerry and Jason both held their ground. They were at every meeting that that was called by the chair. And I mean, there was a multitude of meetings, and these meetings are a beating, to say the least. They went on and on and on, and it demonstrated. I think it was Jason Ross who said when he was trying to vote online and he couldn't, he highlighted the fact this is why we don't want an online meeting, because it is so problematic. Well, last night, now that the state Supreme Court has done this to us, actually there are two other filings, court filings that have gone in. One from Jim Hotze from Houston, and another one by a guy named Wells, who was a member of the SREC, who said made comments related to the party attorney that the chairman took very strong exception with. I'll just put it to say lightly. That just didn't go over well. Bottom line. So this is where we're at, and the question is, what do we do now? Because what does an online convention look like? This is new ground, new territory. This has never happened. There's a couple of questions that people are asking. First question is this: why can't we wait? Let's just delay it. We can't, because the 20th of July is the drop dead date. We have to have our list of electors. We have to have our electors. We have to have our national delegates and alternates. They've all got to be given to the national party because for the national convention. So there is no other option. We can't delay this. And what's interesting is that the SREC also said that the committees need to go ahead and go to Houston and start meeting, which they have, which they did, which they have, and which they are. And the committees are going to stay in Houston until their jobs are done. And so that is kind of the nuts and bolts of what happens. But how does the online convention work? Well, bottom line, right now, this is a very dynamic situation. I've just talked to Jason Ross and talked to Melanie Grammer, who is the Congressional District 4 chair. And Melanie, by the way, she reminds me of Adrienne Balcom, the Iron Lady, because Melanie is not just the CD caucus chair. She's also the county chair. She's also on the SREC. She's also a nurse, and I called her, and she is working. She's the election judge for the election today. By the way, today is election day. So if you're not familiar, if you forgot about that, this is Browning-Woodward race. So you need to get to the polls. You need to vote for one of them. You need to show that Republicans do get out and vote, even during a runoff. And if you're not familiar with those candidates, well, then look at my last show, because I interviewed both of them right here together, and you've got a good sense of who these people are. It's less than 30 minutes, and it's worth your time, because especially if you want to be an informed voter, and that's why you're watching this show, because you want to be informed. You're not a Democrat. So the issue is, how is this going to work? So in talking with Melanie, one of the things that was presented was that we could find a location and caucus together in one location, and that was in the works was to go to Sulphur Springs, and apparently someone had volunteered the Sulphur Spring, a location in Sulphur Springs that could have accommodated all of the congressional district. Now the SREC is they changed the rules last night to allow for the caucus chairs to make some decisions, and they can make a decision to do an all online. They can do kind of an in-person, but I don't know if it's called a hybrid or what they're calling it. But bottom line, the Congressional District Caucus chairs and the senatorial and the Senate District chairs have a decision to make. So here's the first problem that I see. The first problem is the schedule. The schedule currently has on Thursday that both the Senate District Caucus and that the Congressional District will caucus on the same day, Thursday. And then on Friday, same thing, Senate and congressional district. So when I say Senate, I'm talking about state Senate. So therein lies the problem with being able to congregate in one place, because if you have two separate caucuses going on the same day, you literally have to go from one caucus to another. And when you're looking at CD4, I think there's 6 counties in CD4, Congressional District 4. You're talking about hundreds of miles. If the Senate district said, well, we're going to meet here, and the congressional district said we're going to meet here, it just wouldn't work. And so logic would say, this is me speaking, logic would say that we would have, on Thursday, we would have the Senate district caucuses, and then on Friday have congressional district caucuses. It makes sense. It's simple. But they haven't made that change, and I don't know why. And I haven't been able to talk with Jason or Jerry lately, as of late, to ask that question and see what's going on there. And I haven't heard anything except that from the chair of the party, James Dickey. He says that the schedule will remain as written. Well, that makes it impossible to congregate. That's the first problem. Melanie brought up another problem that they're encountering is, okay, so if we have a location, great, we can get everybody together, but how exactly do we get everybody on Zoom calls, Zoom meetings, and especially when you're talking about bandwidth? In Sulphur Springs, where they don't have the fiber optic and where they don't have the T1 lines, it's kind of sketchy how they're going to do something like that. And then, so now they're looking at Fannin County to try to bring 200 or so members there. So as you can see, everyone is scrambling. What I'm trying to communicate is, number one, those who are local, our congressional district, our Senate district, our SREC members, our county chair, Laverne Kinmeyer, they haven't been sitting on their laurels. They haven't just been sitting back and kind of waiting to see what happens. They've already had a lot of this in process, and they're already moving forward. The question is, can we make these things happen? I went to the city of McLennan Chisholm today to see if we could just rent or use the hall inside the city council, inside a building that cost 5,000 square foot building that cost taxpayers $2.125 million, one of the biggest boondoggles in Texas. And the mayor and the city administrator have made a decision that they're not going to allow anyone to meet in there, even though right now they're having the election. And even though a week ago they had a gathering and where friends of the mayor were wanting to do a little thing where the mayor got to speak and show what a great guy he is. But since the mayor doesn't have anything planned now, everyone else, you're screwed. Just like most cities, the city of McLennan Chisholm, led by an incredibly liberal leftist mayor, Keith Short, and someone who is a disaster and doesn't care. It has no desire to help the Republican Party. So my question is this: what's going to happen now? Are we going to find a way to caucus? I don't know. And I'm hoping that Laverne Kinmeyer can work with Republicans, since, by the way, Rockwall, everyone is a Republican. I keep saying that. And I keep saying that a Republican is not a conservative make. Well, every elected official is Republican. Here's the test. We've already seen what the state of Texas gets us by having all Republicans. Let's see if somehow, some way, the Liberty Room in our $48 million courthouse will be made available by the very Republicans who are in office. Let's see if they can get that pushed forward, because these are supposed to be Republicans. I'm just going to say I don't have a lot of hope, but man, I hope I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, you can bet that I will share that, and that I will explain and apologize. and celebrate those key Republicans, those true leaders who actually say, we are not lemmings. We don't just follow Democrats off a proverbial cliff. We stand our ground and we hold true to who we are. Now, in the meantime, the Republican Party has live training session for those of you who are delegates to teach you how this online convention is supposed to work. The first one is tonight at 7 p.m. and then tomorrow at 10 a.m., 5 p.m., and 9:30 p.m., the same live training sessions will be posted. And it is also my understanding that the party will keep the recordings of these live training sessions up so that you can watch them at your leisure. That's my understanding. If you are a delegate or an alternate, you should be receiving emails from the party. And if you're not receiving emails from the party, then there's a problem. They either have your email address or they have the wrong email address. They could have typed something in wrong. You need to get your email to them, because if you don't, then you cannot vote. Your email is the key to voting. And so what they're going to do is, my understanding, they're going to have somehow they're going to have a Zoom meeting convention. I have no idea how that's going to work, but that's how it's going to be. And then there's going to be a separate website that you'll go to vote on different things. Just so you know, the state party has been working on this contingency plan for some time. And so I guess we'll see how it all lays out. All right, so that's the update, and that's what I know now. As I get more information, I will make sure to pass that along to you in another show. Hopefully I can have maybe Jason Ross or Jerry Fisher or Melanie Grammer or someone from the party come on the show, and they can share a little bit more and explain what's going on as well, so that you can hear it from the horse's mouth and not secondhand from me. Just so you know, the Rules Committee and the Legislative Priorities Committee meeting, they're both online on YouTube. I think that the Platform Committee, they are basically separating as a committee and working within subcommittees. So we're not seeing much come from there, but that is kind of what's happening right now in Houston and for the state party. So if you have questions, comments, criticism, concern, whatever, you're welcome to send it to me at bob@bunkerbob.com, and I'd be glad to hear what you have to say. Until next time, it'll probably be tomorrow morning, I will give some kind of an update, and I look forward to seeing you. You have a great day. We'll see you next time.